Broke.as.node! 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 Oh, Broke.as.node! Broke.as.node! Yeah! Broke.as.node!
What's up, everyone? This is Broke.as.node episode 4. We're in the studio. Woo! The studio of my living room. Very, very special guest with us today, sitting across from me, Mr. You can introduce yourself if you like.
Tony Scott.
That's not that special of an introduction if he has to introduce himself.
Well, I mean,
I'm a wizard, so it's okay.
yeah.
Well, then you say introducing the Grand High Wizard of the Broke.as.node
No,
podcast.
Is it Grand High
4.
Wizard?
Yeah, that's a KKK.
That's a K.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
my
gonna,
bad.
So we're gonna not say Grand High Wizard.
A little bit less, you know.
Grand High
stop.
Maester?
Well, still sounds maybe
like
too
the
close.
grand throwing it in.
Grand Maester?
Like a little bit less
Maester's
racism,
better.
a little bit more like Gandalf
Right.
is where we're going with this one.
That's where I
Tony
tempted
the
to
Grey.
go with it.
Tony the Grey.
Tony the Grey. I like that. You're wearing a gray shirt.
Tony the Tiger.
Oh yeah, Tony the Tiger, Tony Montana, like
El Tigre.
Scruffy. He was scruffy at Dragon Con. Good times.
It's pretty great.
Good times. Sitting to my right, we have the beautiful, the always beautiful. You're not gonna say your name?
No, I thought I got my own introduction.
No, the always.
And then
She does
insert
Sam on the
the
show.
whole-
It's very important to her.
And you also just said my full name, so
Yeah.
thanks for that
Also,
one.
She doesn't like that one a
Oh.
lot, but
You want to start over?
nah, we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
What's going on in the world?
As always, I'm Lucas. I'm the host, so.
Oh, that was the end of my introduction? Okay.
He did a good one. He did a wrestling thing. That was like a wrestling bit. That was like WWE
Let's
style.
get ready to rumble.
Da, 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 da,
Dude,
da,
I wish
da.
Tony was there on Thursday at Dragon Con. Thursday at Dragon Con, they had local wrestling. And it was like
Oh, yeah.
WWE style
was
SmackDown.
great.
I would have had to like gotten in the ring. It would have been great.
It was pretty amazing.
Coming into my house with that. You better back it on up, son. It's like, God.
Tony was at Dragon. We can't talk about Dragon Con too much. We just had a Dragon Con podcast,
Oh.
so
You missed it.
you missed that,
did.
sadly. So for our viewers, don't worry. We're not going. We got plenty of stuff to talk. It's been pretty good few days. We've been playing a lot of video games.
God dang it. Whoa.
But some video games you've never gotten to play, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah, like being relegated to nothing older than the Nintendo Wii and nothing outside of the Nintendo universe. Like, I generally stay up on video games and stuff like that, and like watch Let's Plays, but actually being able to interact with that and be able to play, you know, for myself these things that I've heard so much about. It's honestly a wonderful experience.
yeah, it was fun.
Has staying here also been a wonderful experience?
I mean,
Have we been decent hosts?
yeah, even
Has the cat driven you crazy yet?
no, I love cats.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you've enjoyed your stay. I've wanted you on the podcast forever. I mean, that's
For like 2
But-
years.
I mean, yeah, about 2 years. No, I feel like I literally asked you about a year ago. Like, I want to say,
think,
like,
yeah.
there was like we talked about it at least one time. Yeah, we do a podcast. But you're here perfect. We just started this new podcast. Like, our old ones kind of fell apart. We didn't update them enough. So it's like, okay, let's start from school. Yeah. Well, things happen. We've moved on. Now we got Broke.as.node.
Oh,
That's what it's called. That name is weird. We should explain that one day, but not today.
not
Or
this
just-
day.
Or just never.
Or never. Maybe you'll never know.
It's part of the
Inside
mystery.
joke.
Yeah, it's kind of an inside.
Speaking of
developing
inside,
Inside. Yes. Next segment.
Oh!
Hey.
Oh! Yeah,
But,
that's great. Yeah, so I mean, the first game you played was the sequel to Limbo.
I mean, sequel isn't the best
Like
word.
spiritual sequel.
Spiritual sequel.
But
of my favorite
'cause
games.
Me and you, babe, we played. Well, I watched you basically play Limbo.
Limbo was great. It is one of my favorite games because it's a learn as you go type of game, and that's kind of my forte.
Yeah.
Just make it up and see what happens. And it's just morbid enough to make me giggle.
It's like your whole world is the water temple from Ocarina of Time. It's just like
So, no, that was super fun to play. Really interesting ending. So, spoiler if you haven't played it.
Yeah,
We're
spoilers.
gonna
There's gonna be a
talk
lot
about
of
it.
spoilers today.
yep.
But so, how was playing? Because you also played Limbo too.
A little
Yeah,
Limbo.
A little bit.
I don't know. It just kind of reminded. And like Limbo, I know is a few years old, right?
Yes.
I want to say 3 years, 2 or 3 years.
I think
Yeah.
2 years, just about, because I remember playing it around like 6 months after we got together.
It's probably like 2.5 because I got that Limbo thing from Dragon Con
Last year.
year before.
Really?
Yes. First year I went to Dragon Con, I got that. I'm almost certain. Because Guardians had just came out. It's a picture, it's fan art picture, Guardians of the Galaxy, Limbo style.
Yeah, it's
but
like
I
that
didn't know.
silhouette with the eyes.
I didn't know. I just saw Guardians and I was like, oh, that's cool. Shadow Guardians. That's cool. I'd get that.
Silhouette with glowing eyes.
Right. And then
a la Limbo.
later we played Limbo. We played Limbo about a year ago.
Yeah.
We didn't get it when it came out. And then we loved it because it's an amazing, fun game. And
It's also incredibly frustrating.
it is very frustrating. And that's one point. Inside is definitely easier. We were talking about
Yes.
that earlier.
So we finished Inside the other night, and then the other day we started playing Limbo again because you hadn't played it, and it's obviously the prequel. And
Well,
going back
I want
to
to say prequel.
Spiritual
prequel, and
Well,
even though
prequel implies it came out after, right? That's
What?
The spiritual predecessor.
predecessor.
they're fine. The predecessor. Going through it, I'm like, I remember doing these puzzles, but I still can't, for the life of me, remember how to do them, and it is incredibly frustrating, especially after playing Inside, which in comparison is so much
Way
easier.
easier.
Yes.
But still challenging.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like we were talking about when we were going through Journey, which we'll talk about here in a second. Like the difference between a narrative-driven experience versus a gameplay-driven one, and you know how different those two approaches are. And, you know, you could really tell they're different developers with different goals, even though the styles are incredibly similar, and you could definitely see link. But you know just how much more puzzle focused, not just base puzzle focused Limbo is.
Right.
You know, they've stripped down all the graphics except the stuff that, you know, you really need to focus on. And they even play with the whole, like, silhouette thing with, like, the spider coming out of the background at you, like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
it does some fantastic stuff.
That spider scared me a little.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I liked Inside the way it looked too. Like I liked that they made it more 3D. 3D
That was
they made it
confusing,
3D.
though.
I liked it though.
At times, the way
stylistically it worked.
stylistically it does, but the way it looks at some points, because at some points you're so used to just being like flat across
like
the
the
screen,
planar
where
intersections,
it'll
yeah.
change, and you have a hard time
Yeah.
recognizing that so off the fly.
so well. Yeah, but then you die, and then you have I got to do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like when the chain's hanging in the background and you think it's in the foreground, you could grab it and jump to your death. Like,
Yeah.
it's not suicide if you thought the chain was there.
Right. It's just, but well, I mean, do we want to skip ahead to the end of Inside? Do you want to make that the picture for the video? I will.
I would love
I'll
to make that the picture.
So if you're watching the video now, the picture you see is kind of a spoiler in itself. Sorry.
Well, at least they kind of give like a storyline. or at
Okay.
least, like a hypothetical, theoretical
I
storyline.
mean, you
'cause
played
there-
it more than I did.
There isn't actually a real storyline.
Yeah,
it's
like-
left to interpretation
Yeah, there's no
by the
dialogue,
creators.
but just you're supposed to be able to pick up the story through the gameplay. It's this young boy who is going through this, you know, very popular setting nowadays, that post-apocalyptic,
Kind of dystopian type
Yeah.
feel.
where like it's zombies, not in the George Romero sense, but like just the dead, lifeless, like soulless husks that still move and like function as human beings. Like, you know, most of us, like how we feel when we work retail jobs. But anyway, but just like going through solving these logic puzzles, and then like slowly getting into more of like a almost like a Portal 2 kind of just like curveball out of nowhere, like going into this facility which is doing like some crazy ass experiments, and you know, you end up, you know, being able to breathe underwater, solving these puzzles, messing with like anti-gravity
Crazy mermaid things that attack you.
Yes,
I prefer the term siren.
Siren.
that's a little bit closer to reality. Yeah,
Because sirens
Well,
were
they-
like,
specifically dragging
drown you to your death
Right.
type thing.
Right.
That's more specific.
That's definitely what they look like too. They don't have tails, so I guess they are.
They don't. They actually, like, if you
Siren.
look at it, they have feet.
Yeah.
So, like,
Like
part of
like
the...
long flowing hair.
Yeah, so part of the theory is that, like, those are failed experiments.
Yeah, we watched the theory video
and
that I actually liked a lot. What he had to say, I liked
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, so continuing on.
Enlightening.
So you're going through this facility and you end up at this, like, aquarium type window.
containment cell or almost.
Yeah, and to me it looks like an aquarium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
everyone's
it's
looking
like,
at it.
it looks
yeah.
like it's suspended in water, and so, like, you ended up going into there, being like thrown into there via some sort of vacuum type thing. You just get like shot in there, and it's just this like huge mass, and we do mean mass, and therefore will be referred to from this point as the meatball.
Yeah, I like the meatball.
The meatball.
Fleshy mass.
It's this fleshy mass of like, and it looks like if you broke a bunch of people up and shoved them together without them bleeding out.
It's like Saw mixed with Katamari Damacy. Just like the fact that everything's like all thrown together. And just
So it's the image that we're using here on the podcast. So that is henceforth the meatball.
The human meatball. Whatever.
So you end up actually getting absorbed into this human meatball, and you get to control this whole thing. And that's like, it's, what would you put it? Like maybe like 10 minutes before the game's over, like a full gameplay.
If you went straight into what you're doing, probably even just like 6.
Yeah.
You play as the meatball for a little bit.
You have to do a few challenges as the meatball,
and you have to figure out all that stuff, and then you end up actually outside in this pool of light.
And then the game ends.
And then the game ends, but we were watching this theory video where, because you have to like crash through this weird diorama, and it's set up the exact same way as the ending is, like landscape wise. So it was definitely a really interesting game, really introspective, makes you think. Yeah. Also makes you almost pee yourself laughing because you see this giant human meatball running around on 4 legs.
Prefaced is really the biggest thing, because like I feel it would have lost a lot if like you just hopped in there and then like control switch from the avatar of like this small child, and then like you just popped into being the meatball. But like, part of the challenge in that particular section is like when you have to go in and there are these like attached suction
like
cups.
Plugs?
Yeah, like plugs is be a very like a la the Matrix, you know, like.
Well, that's what they were. They were plugs.
Yeah, plugs directly into this meatball, and you know the analysis that we watch, it holds water that this is this hive mind controlling the fucking facility.
Yeah. Well, now I don't know if the hive mind.
That's almost not. Yeah.
Controls the facility. I think the hive mind is the experiment.
Yeah.
That's kind of, well, that's how I took it. And like the experimenters were controlling. They weren't controlling the hive mind, but they were. They kept the hive mind in a contained environment. And you know, it makes sense the way the game's set up. You're never. Essentially, even though it is a little more 3D, you're never doing anything but walking forward.
Yeah.
You know, you're contained, and so the idea is that the kid is a part of the hive mind. The hive mind seeked him out, and he's a part of it, and they're sneaking him in. But the idea is that he wasn't being sneaked in. So the experimenters knew about him, and then the alternate ending, which we had to look up. Jared did actually unlock the alternate ending, which is impressive. He looked up how to do it though, so it's not super impressive, but it's still impressive.
Taking the time, man. Yeah.
He took the time out of his day to do it. You see the kid unplugging basically the whole experiment, and then that's where he slops down, and that's where you think, oh, he was probably the whole time he was being controlled too, and because throughout the entire game you're controlling people. That's a big part of the game. It's not just the blob that you get to control. You get to control other people. So I don't know. That's kind of the working theory I get. But then that's just like there's no dialogue, so that's just like the main story potentially. But there's also metaphors you can draw from it and stuff. It's one of those games.
There's a beauty in that whole like no dialogue storytelling, because your imagination's always going to be able to go much further than most storytellers are going to be able to. But just like that scene in particular, where like you finally get the plugs out of the meatball in there, and like you're waiting for something to happen, then it sucks you into itself, and like all of a sudden, that's how you gain control of this mass, and like the goddamn thing's just fucking unstoppable, just breaking everything apart.
That was awesome.
It's like
I didn't get to play, but it looked fun. I was watching. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, but like going from the small, like just like in Limbo, just like the small child like having to logic his way through puzzles that he wasn't able to do, just going straight to wrecking in like the most fantastic way. It's wonderful.
So what do you think, dear? Is Limbo better or is Inside better? Because you've been kind of on the fence.
I have been on the fence. I liked the ending of Inside better because it was just hilarious to me.
One of the best endings of all time.
This is shock value. It was wonderful.
I'm not sure. Like, I don't think it was meant to be as funny as maybe I thought it was. I don't think it's meant to be funny, but I thought it was funny.
Different reactions, like with I think it was like the third movie in the Star Wars prequel when Yoda fights Count Dooku, right?
Yeah.
So like that moment, I remember being the only one in the theater that everybody immediately turned and like stared lasers into, because like that he walks in the cane, Count Dooku's ready to like end the shit, and Yoda like whips out the lightsaber and starts fighting, and the little battle cry he gives before he really gets into it, that little just Frank Oz just I immediately started like dying laughing in the middle of, like, it was opening night. We had people dressed as like particular characters.
I was there. Well, not the same theater. Maybe.
You never know.
You never know.
Anyway,
But,
back
like,
on
just
track.
dying laughing. It's just like you never know what people's reactions are going to be.
Right.
But just like that,
Absolutely.
that shock is always just a great.
And I think that's what made me laugh. So, like, I like the ending of Inside better, but on a whole, I think I would have to go with Limbo simply because I think it was definitely a little bit more challenging.
Gameplay.
And also, it was the first one, so because it's from the same company and it's kind of same concept, the second one becomes so much easier because you already know how to play Limbo.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought the difficulty on Inside was perfect.
Yeah,
I think it's perfect for if
for
like
the
you've
narrative
never
flow.
played something like
Yeah.
that before.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it
it's
had
a little
Inside
too-
been the one before Limbo, like,
Right.
that probably would have been the better situation. It's a little bit easier to do. Because I only had to ask Jared about one thing. I didn't even have to
Right,
Google anything.
right.
Limbo, we had to sit there and
Oh,
Google
yeah,
some
there's
things
about
because
three
there was
things
no
we
way.
we were there for a good 45 minutes and it just wasn't happening.
That's what I love
Well,
about
yeah.
Limbo. It is so mind-blowing, frustratingly, like, hard at times, but it's also got that addictive quality, or at least for me, because that's how I am personality-wise. So I think
You have to win.
I would pick Limbo over Inside simply because of how it's played and just
Fair enough.
the game in general. But
Well, we
the
should-
ending of Inside, much, much better. With the meatball.
Yeah, I'd say like the story is better than Inside all around. The narrative
Yeah.
is better.
Yeah, like that,
Limbo,
that's what I was
eh.
talking about, the gameplay versus narrative driven. Like,
Right.
you could tell the devs really put a lot of attention to detail where you don't get burnt out on like replaying the same 15 sections, like keeping those checkpoints nice and close so you never like really break that story
Right.
flow.
Limbo did that too, but like still.
It was definitely harder, though.
Well, talking about your personality in gaming, that could be a segue into the next game. We were talking earlier how she probably wouldn't like Journey
Next segment.
because it's not challenging. It's not meant to be challenging. It's a narrative based game. It's playing through a movie essentially.
Yeah.
But there's no dialogue again.
But just like
That
the
seems to
scene
be our
settings,
forte.
Yeah.
It is
Indie
it's
games
so
with no
powerful.
dialogue.
Yeah, well, Journey is just masterfully executed.
Yeah. So you liked it?
Oh my god, it was beautiful.
It is.
Absolutely
It's a beautiful game.
stunning visually. And like the particle effects, I don't know how much code they have behind that, but you can tell they really, really packed in where they needed to. And like, I don't know where they cut corners, but you know they had to have. Like, at the end levels, we were talking, me and Jared, you know, referencing the Super Smash Brothers Melee, those little particle effects, like when you hit somebody else, those tiny little like motion flashes that come out.
Yeah.
If you actually pause that, zoom in, and then like pan off to a certain direction,
Yeah.
you can see those effects are actually in 2 dimensions.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right,
like
right.
little
Yeah, yeah.
things like that where, you know, you have that forced camera angle, and you know, I'd really love to be able to zoom out a little bit or like get a top-down view or something like that to see like really what assets they're working with and like how they're using the least amount of code possible to really craft this experience. You know, you could tell they really did a hell of a job using what
Oh, yeah.
they needed where they needed it.
I didn't like Journey. I got bored.
Yeah, how long did you play Journey? Like 20 minutes?
No, I played for around 30 to 40 minutes.
It's like an hour and a half long game. You
Yeah.
could have beat it. You,
I just
you
got
never got to
bored.
see the whale sharks, the magic carpet whale sharks. They're
Yeah.
awesome.
I feel like beat it's almost not even like the right term. Like
It's more of a
finish it.
spiritual
You finished it.
experience,
Like,
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's literally just like watching a movie, and
but you're playing it.
you're interacting with it. I think is a better
Yeah.
way to put it.
You interact with AI.
Well, yeah, that's what you're doing.
I know.
That's it. That's the.
Yep.
That's the.
I didn't like
We've
it. I
established
didn't
the
like it.
concept.
Well, let's have a little basic explanation for our listeners who have never played it. First off, if you like artsy games, this is like the artsy game.
Yes.
But I mean, it starts out you're in a desert, right? Yeah, you
It's
go.
like a little Bedouin man,
Yeah,
just like in the f***ing long robe, and It pulls from a lot of cultures, like Eastern philosophy specifically.
Definitely a lot of Eastern.
Not that Bedouin is particularly Eastern, but like whatever. But like just pulling heavily from like spirits and a lot of, I guess, animistic would be the term. Really going back to like ancestor worship. There's a lot of references to the past generation. It's like the civilization that's been lost, and you were like the remnants of this society. And
you're basically making a pilgrimage, is what we decided.
Yeah, it's like it's got
kind
a
of like
lot of overtones.
Trip to Mecca, or whatever religion. It's a religious pilgrimage, is what it really seems. But I would say even maybe less religion and even like a spiritual. Spiritual, but like societal. Like this person is going because that was his society, and I think of like it's a society that I kind of got this. It's a society that got wiped out for whatever reason, and they had to spread across the globe. And now, every now and then, certain members go back. They go back to the mountain so they can become one with their technology, which is spiritual. Like their technology and their spiritualism seems to be pretty mixed, intertwined. And it's great because I came down, I saw you playing it. You're nearing the end, even when I came down to watch you play. And you were playing with someone else. I was like, oh, you're playing online? And you're like, I guess. And I was like, yeah, no, if there's someone else with you, you're playing online. And the online experience is so cool because you'll just be playing. Right. And a guy just comes out. He's on the pilgrimage too, and it makes it so real.
Yeah, and like it really adds so much to it just to know that there's somebody else there going through the same kind of thing. And it really, unfortunately, in a way, like really bespoke, humanity truly. Because there were experiences like where I'd find this random person, like we'd work together through a challenge or like be there for one another. So basically one of the big things that you got to do is you have this scarf that is imbued with magic, I guess runes, but characters would almost be a better word for it.
I just call it magic carpet technology. That's what it is.
Yeah, literally, like you have a scarf made from magic carpet fibers, and when you activate it in a certain way, you can fly. So you have, a button for flying, and then you have a button for, I guess, like mentally calling for these.
And that's like it, right? Those are the only two buttons you really use.
Like you move and you have those two things. Well, if you have another player, you can call to one another like that mental spark, and like you can recharge each other's scarves so you can continually fly. Because that scarf has a limited amount of energy capacity.
But the longer you get the scarf, the longer you can fly. It's like a time thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a spiritual fuel tank.
Yeah,
But like, you can encounter people that really care or like will interact with you and like really finish things out. And then like this jackass I found in one of the under levels, he was trying to break through one of the walls of this particular area we were in. Just like literally, recharging his fuel. Recharging his spirit, going over to the edge of the map and like trying to find the fourth wall, which is up this incredibly like steep, we're talking like 75-degree embankment, just like flying his ass off and like into the invisible wall. You can see the renders, like the rendering distance is just going. He's just at it.
Yeah.
He's just like, let's do this.
Of course, you're gonna have it.
That's one of the guys I just left to his own devices.
It was like Jared said. There's like a Let's Player he saw who like. Sometimes other people, while it can add to the experience, it can kind of take away.
Yeah.
You get done with the game, and it's been this profound experience, and at the end, you're kind of just like, wow, what is life? What is all this about? Like, you're thinking all this, like, profound, like, stuff, and then you get to see the people that went on your journey with you and their name. So this guy had one screen name, a guy who joined him, and it was like, Anime Titty Lover. And so you're sitting there like, oh, what is life? What is life? Like, oh, why are we here? And then it's like, you were joined by Anime Titty Lover. It's
like
what?
Sometimes you got to be brought back down with stuff like that.
It's true. It's the mix.
Just like playing through the game, though. Like I think we decided a little bit like it's got overtones of reincarnation.
Yeah,
because the whole game starts off with this shooting star from a mountain far off into the distance,
which was someone completing the journey.
Completing the journey, yeah. So like when you go and have your own journey, once you reach the top of the mountain, which has got like its own spiritual overtones, you become a shooting star for like the next journey goer or whatever.
I see it as like you become a part of the energy that the carpets are a part of.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. It's kind of this mix between technology and spiritualism. It's like this perfect harmony that they had. And then
it's like they really understood.
And you get a little glimpse of what took them out you only have one really antagonist in the game. It's these flying evil shredders.
I don't know if evil's even really the right word. It's these big stone flying almost machines, I guess. Yeah. But it's
with spotlights.
It reminds me of like golems from mythology, but like not like Pokemons, but like the big clay.
Lord of the Rings.
No,
not that.
Like the big Czechoslovakian. Like you have this big like masonry man, and part of the way that they were activated was like you have this clay eye that you have to stick into them, and the only way to imbue that with life is the creator actually had to write the spell in his own blood and like imbue this with his spirit to give it life because it needed a soul, like to function in a way. And those, I guess, like giant stone dragonflies is kind of what they look like. They have that same eye in the front of them to me. Okay. So when they activated, instead of interacting like you do with these carpet fibers, which are strewn throughout the game, and like they're not static objects. They all have their own personality. And their own life.
I'm talking about that. Like they're not just like machines.
Yeah, they're almost their own characters in the story. It's almost like you've reached the singularity, like an Eastern philosophy Terminator movie, like where the singularities happen, the technology turns upon you. Like they've gotten too powerful, and these like golem dragonflies just doing what they're doing. They're powered off that same technology, but it's instead of recharging and interacting with one another and like flowing with that, they devour it. Like it just destroy what they're using to power themselves. So you have to hide from those on your journey. You know, it's
because they don't kill you, but they take away from your scarf. They take away from the length, so you can't fly as long. Yeah, which isn't. So you can't really die in that game, right? Did you die?
No. I mean, it beats the shit out of you. Like you roll off to the side, but they're not interested in killing you or like beating you up. They just need more power for themselves. Like it's very like computational thinking. Like there's really only one concern for them, which is to continue to exist. Right. You know, they're not going to go out of their way to kill you.
So all in all, definitely a profound game.
So moving on from a spiritual, beautiful video game onto
what? I don't know.
Hotline Miami.
Hotline Miami.
Next segment.
Hotline Miami. Oh, that's spiritual in its own right.
Yeah.
Woo! But you don't want to talk about that, do you, babe?
No, I'm just segueing for you guys.
Segueing? Okay.
Keeping things moving.
You didn't like that one either. Okay. Which is surprising because you like games for a challenge, and it's like the ultimate challenge.
Okay, the thing is that I didn't like about Hotline Miami is
the weirdness, the gore, the violence.
It's a little bit like too uncomfortably violent for me, and like this is coming from a person who's like played a lot of Injustice and like fighting games and stuff.
So T for teen games, get out of here.
Well, I also play Call of Duty.
Call for Duty?
Call for Duty. I'm tired.
I didn't make a Call for Duty. Can you come over here?
No, but you get like weirdly aggressive for like.
Call for Duty, we get some Battleford.
I hate both of you.
Hailer? Do you have Hailer?
Medal of Hamburger?
Best one. That wins.
I'm going to bed. No, you're like weirdly aggressive for like 2 hours after you play the game, which just goes to show that video games do influence you.
Oh, they certainly do, but I love it. I love that feeling. Let's go! Doing nice at people.
Been drinking retail all god day.
You'll take the damage out of me. I love that that's your ringtone.
Like, it's gotten me in trouble in the past, but it's so worth it because, like, if you're having a day, all of a sudden, like, Danny McBride is just pop whiskey. Like, it just whiskey.
Did you see the Lonely Island's new movie? The Pop Star?
No, I have not.
It's worth checking out. If you like them, you'll like it.
Just like that, I saw the ad for it where, you know, Andy Samberg, like, throws the basketball over his shoulder in the direction of the goal, and he clearly and like awfully misses. Yeah. Like, hits the backboard, and all of his boys just start going, "Oh!" Like he made it just to like foster that ego.
Yeah.
I think they probably did a really good job. I haven't seen, but like just that satire.
It was good.
Of that,
it's like a documentary style. So it was almost like maybe too much like Spinal Tap, but
Well, I mean,
Like maybe they because it's no Spinal Tap.
if you try to turn it to 12, you got problems.
Right, like
gotta
you
stick with
can't.
11.
Yes, you can't go above 11.
No, because it's 11.
It's 11. But anyways, to Hotline Miami, another indie game. It's been the weekend of indie games.
Yeah.
Man. Like it's been fun though. Hotline Miami is a game near and
You're
dear
in
to
the
my
CA,
heart.
go yourself. Try harder.
Yeah. Oh, don't even talk about EA, man. I hate them so much. Freaking, they got.
Come on,
they
you
got Star
Canadians,
Wars.
come at me.
But, are they a Canadian company? Yeah.
A lot of their good games actually come from the Canadian office.
Oh,
So
interesting.
the boys that produce NCAA, whatever year we happen to be living in.
You going to sleep?
Huh?
You going to sleep?
I mean, y'all are boring me.
We're boring. You're the one who wanted to talk about Hotline Miami. You brought it up.
I'm just trying to get through all the video games that you guys have played.
Well, we could have talked about something you want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Yeah. What do you want to talk about? That's what I thought. This is always
You're
what happens.
so rude.
This isn't even a podcast. This is just like everyday conversation between me and you.
Fine. Then
What do you want to talk about? Where do you want to go? Nothing.
I'm
Then when
just
I
trying
make
to
a
segue
suggestion, she
things.
hates it.
Because in about 10 minutes, I'll be leaving this podcast.
Well, that's fair. Well, before you go, what do you want to talk about? We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Pokemans?
Well, I want to include Tony in on the conversation, but he's not really playing Pokemon.
No, he's not a goer.
Like, I'm not a goer, but
If you ever
Pokemon's
are-
for life, man.
Yeah.
Like,
If you ever are, though, you know Team
Gotta
Instinct.
catch 'em.
OG 150,
Team
man.
Instinct.
Right there, man.
Yeah. I like Gen 2, though. I like Gen 2.
I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Typhlosion is my ultimate.
Oh,
He's my very favoriteest Pokemon of all time.
I'll give you that one.
It's a personal thing, though. It's not like... It's almost completely based on personal reasons.
Yeah,
but,
dude. And you do get some like cool evolutions for the OG guys in the second
Yeah.
generation.
yeah. And later on, too. But
Yeah,
yeah.
dude.
Oh, yeah, there's good stuff. But... Alright, so you don't have anything you want to talk about?
No, I'm like ready to go to sleep.
Alright, well, good night.
You want
It's
to
good
talk
seeing
about
you.
beds?
Talk about the beds are comfortable.
I'm
If
about
they're
to,
done right.
Pillows.
I'm about to go hit one.
Comforters.
Sorry, folks. You won't be hearing any more from me. I have a full-time job I got to go to.
We can end it here. We're right at about 30 minutes. Me and Tony will come back and do our own. We can do that.
Yup.
We'll come back and we'll talk about Hotline Miami. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to know more about Hotline Miami, listen to the next podcast and we'll talk about it there. So,
Also, next time, weird.
yeah, we're gonna get weird.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna get weird.
it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be fun. But thanks for tuning in.
Goodbye!
We've had a good time.